Hey folks, welcome to another Cocodona info session. I'm race director Steve Adderholt, and today we are going to be talking about foot care at Cocodona. We have a couple of great guests joining us. We've got Joanna from Darn Tough, who's bringing this session to us, and we've got Colby from our medical team at MedStar Solutions, and Lori, who's a talented athlete herself and a foot care pro at she donates her time at a lot of medical stations at 200 milers. So yeah, we'll bring them on. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi there.
Hey, you want to go ahead and give us an introduction and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm Lori, nurse practitioner by trade, and I do ultra endurance races as well. Been doing that for about 10 years. As I'm getting older, stepping out of the racing as much and doing more of the medical support. So I've had the opportunity to work numerous 200 plus mile events, providing medical support and aid at the various aid stations. Um, Also involved in search and rescue, so a little bit of everything.
Sweet. Well, thanks for joining us, Lori.
Awesome. I'm Joanna. I'm with Darn Tough. I'm a retail and field marketing specialist here. Also a runner, like to dabble in the ultra scene. Probably been trail running the last few years. Yeah, living out in Vermont currently, always been in New England and happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks.
Nice to meet you all. I'm Colby Haddon. I'm with MedStar Solutions. I have been with them for 5 years, and ever since then been in the ultra scene, providing medical care to ultra runners. I we've done anything from 5Ks, 6Ks to the 250-mile race. So happy to be here. Happy to give our insights on what can be done for to protect your feet for the race.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, thanks. And MedStar does an awesome job. If you've run with us in the past and had an issue during the race, you've interacted with MedStar's professionals, and they do a great job at our aid station. So thanks, Colby, for joining us. Any before we get started, any gruesome foot care stories that you've experienced in any ultra?
So I've got one, and I wish I had the picture. I wish I would have asked to take a picture, man. But it
I
was
kind of well, we'll see some gruesome pictures, but maybe it's better that we don't see it.
I believe it was the first Cocodona, and I was working the finish line toward the end of the race, and this racer had come in, and I was helping take care of his feet. His feet were hurting him. Takes off his shoes, and all of his toenails were like separated from the nail bed. And so he had asked me, he's like, "Hey, can you just tear these off for me?" I was like, "No, I can't do that, man." Mainly because I just couldn't bring myself to do it, right? So he grabs a pair of tweezers and right in front of me just starts pulling off all of his toenails one by one,
All
just
of his
every single
toenails.
one of them. I think one of them survived, but every other toenail. And I'll tell you what, feet look weird without nails. That's for sure.
Yeah, okay. I mean, losing one or two in a race is that's or especially at the 200-mile distance is understandable, but 9 out of 10. That's good
Yeah,
job, whoever that was. That's
right.
or bad job, I guess, is the way we want to avoid that. So hey, that's what this session's all about. Well, thanks, Colby. That's a perfect story. Hopefully, that guy made a necklace out of his toenails and will remember Cocodona for the rest of his life. Let's get started now. So pre-race routine. Laura, you want to tell us about what runners can do before showing up at the race to prepare their feet?
Sure. Generally, we do recommend, or it is generally recommended to try and get calluses filed down as much as you can. Some callus is okay, but the calluses create kind of a cap on the foot. And when you're running, you get this friction back and forth. And so you have this hard cap that's going back and forth on the surrounding softer tissues, and it will start to separate. And the blisters underneath the calluses are probably some of the most painful that you can get. You can definitely run with them. It's painful. So the way I recommend doing that is, after you take a shower, or after you soak your feet for maybe 10 minutes in Epsom salt water, get a pumice stone and just file away at them for maybe 5 minutes or so, and do that. And then after that, if you can put a barrier cream, like I use Vaseline, easy, it's cheap. I don't generally use that in racing, but post shower or after I've filed calluses down, I'll cover them with Vaseline and put socks on. And that's a great way to soften your feet, soften those calluses, and then be able to file them down. And like I said, you don't want to get raw skin by any means, but you definitely want to work on those. Generally, at least start about 4 weeks out from your race to kind of get those calluses soft and smooth. I generally don't recommend doing anything in the 5 to 7 days before your race to your feet because, again, if you get a nick or you get a cut or it gets infected, that kind of thing. And then the other really important thing is having your nails, you want them squared off, trimmed short, but not into the quick on either side, fairly straight across, but you might just knock those little edges off. And then another tip that I got from Tanya Olson, who is a co-author of the Fixing Your Feet. She's got some great videos, and I can give you some links for those. But if you'll take a file about 7 days before and kind of file the end of the nail to angle it a little bit, kind of like this, that she has found that has really helped keep nails from separating and getting blisters under the nail. I've never tried it, but I think that's a great tip. And she's got 10 to 20 years of experience with feet. She's a physical therapist. She knows what she's doing. So I trust her. So that's another tip that I'm actually going to try is to kind of file that down. Again, don't get it so thin or cut your skin, and you want to do it no sooner than 7 days out from your race. But that she has found kept a lot of people from losing all 10 nails. So those are kind of the two biggies.
Awesome. Yeah, those are great tips. I always, before a big race, I like to trim my toenails, obviously, but then my trick is, not have any of those sharp corners. That's like the biggest thing that I look for. So great. Well, thanks for sharing that info. Let's go through gear now. So all the gear that's going to help you keep your feet in good shape on a race. Obviously, shoes. I've got a buddy, Tony, who ran Cocodona in sandals and toe socks. Not what I would recommend, but hey, he finished. So I guess if that works for you. My recommendation on shoes is always just do what works for you. Everybody has what works. I have a shoe that I love to wear, and I'll buy a brand new shoe and wear that before the race, which is not what most people do. But anyways, do what works for you on the shoes. Joe, what should runners be looking for in a sock or in socks that they're going to be using at a race?
Yeah, great question. I think a lot of people focus on their shoes, but I think socks can be just as important of a gear when going into a race. Kind of like shoes, I would say don't wear a pair of socks you've never worn before. I think it's important to wash your socks prior. Like I know everyone wants a nice looking new sock for race day, but definitely wash those socks. I think important things to look for is like materials, like natural versus synthetic is important. I think like depending on the race, if it's gonna be a hot race or a cold race, knowing like different cushion levels. If you want like a lightweight sock, a cushion sock, you might want a little bit more padding for a longer race. Also, like I feel like ultra running, you get a little dirty, you might want like a taller sock versus like a quarter or no show. I think honestly too, it does come down to preference a lot. A lot of people do have a preference in the type of socks they like to wear. And so just finding something that really works for you, the fit works well, it's something that's not going to slide around, to potentially cause more blisters.
Yeah, sweet. For me, I think the material is the big thing that I look for. A natural fiber is for me key. And this is a darn tough
Yes.
discussion, and I think the materials you guys use in your socks is perfect, especially for a hot race like Cocodona. And we'll get kind of more into that in a little bit. I love to do a double sock. I do a toe sock liner with Darn Tough on top. I love the Darn Tough sock because it's got a super tight weave. Not only do they hold up for a long time, but it's got a super tight weave, so it keeps a lot of that Cocodona dust and sand out. But sweet. Thanks for that. In terms of specifically talking about the Cocodona course and what gear that you might want to use, it's a very dusty and at times sandy course. Not a lot of moisture out in the desert, although we do have 2 water crossings. We've got a water crossing at no longer do we have one at the 2-mile mark, which is great. I think a lot of people will be happy about that. But we do have one at the Verde River. So that's about a little over halfway into the course. Good thing is it's 2.5 miles before the Dead Horse aid station. So not a whole lot of time, and you will get your feet wet. There's no avoiding it at the Verde River crossing. So, but the good thing is you're 2.5 miles away from the Dead Horse aid station after that crossing, and both the 250 and the 125 cross the Verde. So you can swap out shoes, swap out socks, whatever you need to do to take care of your feet after that crossing. Oak Creek, just after Sedona, is a little bit different. You, again, will definitely get your feet wet. Both the 250 and the 125 cross Oak Creek. And you got 9 miles to go. A big climb, and then a long dirt road section to get to the Schnebley Hill aid station. So definitely you're dealing with wet feet in that section. But those are the only 2 sections. I would absolutely recommend gaiters. Catula is a partner of ours. They make awesome gaiters. Their Renegator and Instigators are super easy to put on and take on and off if you're doing shoe and sock changes and dealing with foot issues. They make a great product. They're based out of Flagstaff, really good folks. So check those out. You will definitely should be wearing gaiters on a course like Cocodona. All right, well, let's talk now. We've covered gear. Let's talk about prevention. So what are the things that we can do to keep from getting blisters? And I'm going to turn it over to Lori again. Walk us through what we can do to prevent foot care issues from starting up.
Yeah, so kind of what we talked about earlier is getting your feet ready. Probably the most important thing is practicing what you're going to run and what you're going to run in. Practice with different lubes. I do recommend using a lube on your feet. Of course, if you're an experienced ultra distance runner and you don't use a lube and you do fine, that's great. But if you're not really sure, usually you almost can't go wrong with using a lube on your feet. There's several out there. There's Salty Britches. There's Squirrel's Nut Butter. There's Run Goo is one I like, but they all work. Some of them have a little bit different lengths of time that they're effective for. So some you'll need to reapply a little bit sooner than others. That also helps keep the dirt and dust from contacting your skin. Although you do have the downside to that is you do have to clean it off when you change. I generally recommend doing that when you change your shoes or change your socks. Use some baby wipes and clean all that off and reapply.
Yeah, that's the reason why I don't like using lube on my feet. I deal with things in different ways personally. My suggestion, especially we're 2 months out. If you're a lube user, great. You know what to do, and if you're not, I don't. Unless you've got some big miles coming up in some desert conditions, maybe give it a shot. But
you're definitely a little. Yeah, you're definitely a little late in training to be trying anything new or different. So know what works for you and stick with it, and don't change that unless you have to. But I also recommend having some tools in your toolkit just in case things go sideways. You do have some options for other ways of handling foot issues. Gaiters are huge. I think again that there's some different schools of thought, but you almost can't go wrong with having gaiters, especially in the dust and dirt. And that helps keep that out. That dirt is just so abrasive, and what you're trying to do is avoid any friction. So definitely good gaiters. Again, with the socks, use socks you're used to using. Don't try new socks on race day. Make sure that you don't use brand new socks if you can, or if you do, make sure you've washed them, dried them, and have worn them at least once before the race. I've seen people who wear the same brand of sock all through their training and they never have any issues, and then they go and buy the same brand, same kind, but it's a new pair of socks, and those just tend to they can rub you a little bit different. So I've seen some mistakes there. Again, with shoes, I recommend use what works, what's worked in training. I would suggest having an extra pair of shoes. Having a half size bigger is not a bad idea, especially if you know your feet swell. But oftentimes, just even the same pair of shoes, just a different pair of shoes feels so much better, even though it's the same brand, the same size, everything.
Yeah, that's a good point of, especially if you've never run the 200-mile distance before, your feet can do different things than even a 100-miler. So having a half size up shoe in your arsenal, with your crew, that's a some good advice.
Yeah, you have drop bags and you have crew, use them. I'm a big fan of it's better to have a little bit too much if you can, than not having what you need, especially going in days.
Yeah, sweet. I think prevention, the sock cleaning the feet and the sock changes every. I mean, if you can do it every 20 miles is what I personally try to do. 20 to 50 miles. I think I've heard you say, Lori, in the past. The cleaning the feet and the sock change is huge.
Yeah, I would say for sure at 50 miles, just check your feet at 50 miles. Unless you've run multiple 200-mile races, and you know you're fine. If you've only run or two or none, then just check at 50 miles. Take your socks off, clean your feet, make sure things look good, and if everything's good, go back with what you're doing. You're doing great. And some people just know. I've seen people go a full 200-mile race and they know that they're fine. But if you're new to this, then definitely check at 50 miles. And I would say for sure, if you're a newbie, check every 50 miles. Change socks because you're getting the dirt out. I mean, regardless of what you have on your feet, you're going to have dirt and grit and grime. That becomes abrasive and may be fine at 150 miles, but by 200 miles or 175 miles, everything falls apart. And prevention is really key. So unless you're gunning for top 10 or you're really placing, it's better to take a little extra time, even if you feel like your feet are okay, and just check them every 50 miles for sure, without a doubt.
Yeah, clean and sock change is what.
Clean and sock change, and that helps. That helps the volunteers and the medics too. I mean, that's one thing that I know I personally expect is for myself is when I'm doing these multi-day races, then I come in knowing how to take care of my feet. I'm the one who's been with my feet for the last 50 years. I know what works. I've learned what works, and I am fully prepared, as should I think every racer be fully prepared to take care of their own feet and teach your crew to take care of your feet.
Yeah. Be self-sufficient on foot care, which we're going to talk with Colby in just a second on, medic locations. But the other piece, and I heard you on another podcast talking about this, Lori, is deal with it and don't delay. So like if you're developing a hot spot, if you've got a pebble in your shoe, we've all had the pebble in the shoe that you're like, it's not that bad, I'm not going to stop. Over 250 miles, that can be disastrous and really slow you down.
Right.
So deal with it. Don't delay is one thing I'd say.
Yeah, have a blister kit. Have a kit with, and I know we'll talk about that, with what you need if you are 10 miles from an aid station and you're starting to feel a hot spot. Do not delay. If it feels uncomfortable, stop and take care of it. You will not regret it, and you will save yourself far more time if you just take 5 minutes, do what you need to do, and get going again, as opposed to having a mess. Because once the foot starts to break down, once the blisters start to form, it's not going to get better. It will not get better. We can only mitigate and hopefully keep it from getting worse. And that's a trick in and of itself. So deal with the hot spots, deal with the discomfort, take care of it, stop, get your shoe cleaned out, do whatever you need to do, and have what you need on you to do that in between aid stations.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, great. Well, speaking of aid stations and medic stations, Colby, you want to talk to us about should runners come see you? Should they not come see you guys? How often are the medic stations at aid stations? You want to talk us through that?
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect segue into that as far as dealing with it when it becomes an issue. And I know that, the runners should be self-sufficient at taking care of their feet, but we are there to help as well. So please come see us. Foot care is a core treatment modality that we provide. All of our staff is extremely well trained, has a lot of experience doing it. So definitely come see us at the aid stations. So for the first 150 miles, we will be at, you'll have a medic at an aid station roughly every 30 miles. Once you pass that 150 mile point, which I believe is Posse Park in Sedona, um, then you should expect to see us roughly every 15 miles, give or take a mile or two, just based on distances. Um, so we won't be at every medical station or every aid station, but we will be around. And then we also have our mobile units that are able to respond to more pressing issues out on the trail. Um, but yeah, foot care is definitely one thing that we take pride in. It's treatment modality that we know is very well needed. We have to help you take care of your feet to be able to get you across that finish line. So definitely don't hesitate to come see us, and we'll do what we can to help.
Sweet. Okay. Yeah, that's great. Great to know. The other item that I would recommend is when you're taking a longer break at an aid station, or really when you're sleeping, if you are going to take a break to sleep, let those feet air out. Take the shoes off, take the socks off, let your feet dry and get some air on them. I think that's really helpful too. So let's change gears a little bit and talk about pack setup and what you should be carrying in your pack on your person, maybe through the entire race. We heard in another Cocodona info session what a couple of our front of the pack guys carry with them for foot care. But Lori, what would you recommend that runners carry with them out on the course?
Sure. I recommend either a little Ziploc bag. You can do like a snack size Ziploc bag. Have a little thing of lube. I know I don't have any I don't have any support to reveal, so nobody's paying me to say anything. But I will mention products that I particularly like. Squirrel's Nut Butter has these little single serving size lube, so I have one of those. So some sort of packet of lube. And then also some either Leukotape or Kinesio tape, rock tape to tape blisters. And I do cut them to the size of what I might need. So like something like this will go across the ball of my foot very easily. It'll also go around the back of my heel very easily. It'll also go up my Achilles very easily. So I just pre-cut a few pieces. Then I have a couple of pieces that I cut for my toes in case I get some blisters on the toes. And then for in between the toes, this is nice because it can go like that, and you can get areas on the ball of your foot as well as between your toes if you're starting to get really macerated or getting blistering in between. Because I pre-cut, I don't carry scissors, but you can get some tiny little sewing kit scissors, and they're not the greatest as far as sharp, but they'll work between aid stations because that's the only time you're going to need them, and they're tiny and super light. I also carry alcohol wipes because when you do try and apply tape, you're going to need to get the oil and the dirt and the sweat off. So I carry about 4 or 5 alcohol wipes. The other thing that I use that I think is really important, unless you're using Leukotape, I don't personally recommend Leukotape, and I don't use it much unless I have a runner that usually uses it. Those know who they are, and they do great with Leukotape. But I do use a little adhesive wipe called Sure Prep. There's Mastisol, there's benzoin of tincture. Those are all adhesives. And so what I'll do is I'll wipe the area that's blistered, clean it, and then I'll put a little bit of tacky benzoin or one of those products, and then I'll put the tape over, and I don't usually have to change it again. So oftentimes throughout the whole race, and that can be 50 to 100 miles, it'll work. But those are the things that I keep in my kit, and that's what I recommend as a minimum. Lube, tape, scissors if you need it. Yeah.
And a safety pin to pop if you need
Oh
it,
yeah, and
maybe.
safety pin to pop. Yeah, absolutely. And when you pop the blister, you kind of want to hit the leading edge and the trailing edge, and get the fluid out. You want to leave the skin intact though.
Yeah,
So
so just a
try
tiny
not to.
little hole.
Yeah, just a tiny little hole to get it to drain.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's great. I love the trick of the pre-cut pieces of whatever tape, Leukotape, KT, whatever you use. Um, that's smart. And these are and the alcohol wipes, as you said, are key because you got to get it clean
It
in
will
order
not
for it to
stick.
stick. Yeah. Yeah. So that's those are good pieces of gear to have in your pack always, so you can deal with it now, so it doesn't become a major issue
And
later.
practice, yeah, and practice it on a training run. Just pretend you have a hot spot. Sit on a rock, see how long it takes you, and you can time yourself. You can see how quick you are at it. And that way too, if you do it like 10 miles before you finish your long run, and you throw it on there, and you can see how well it held, and know what you need to do next time.
Yeah, good trick. Cool. Okay, well then, continuing with the supplies for the race, but not on your person, with your drop bags or your crew. I would assume that you have like maybe a larger foot care pack. What would you recommend to carry in access with drop bags or crew?
Yeah, I would recommend carrying extra lube. Have lube in every drop bag you have. Have extra tape, scissors, alcohol, either the little wipes, or I actually like getting the container that has the big, almost like baby wipe size. Because as long as I don't have any open skin areas, or even sometimes if I do, it stings, but it's the greatest way to get the baby wipes can sometimes leave a residue. So if you're trying to tape, then you have to use alcohol as well. So I just, you know, cut the difference and just use alcohol wipes in my drop bags. It's good antiseptic. It burns like heck, but it'll do the job quickly, and do it all. And then fresh socks, extra gaiters if you want them, or shoes. Again, the main things being the lube, the tape, the scissors. I recommend having a little tacky substance like the iodine, or mastisol, or Sure Prep, whatever you like to use, um, are the main things.
Yeah, great. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
and
that's
of course the needles. You can get little needles on like Amazon.com, like little needles that we use for injection. I like using those as opposed to safety pins. They're cleaner. They're in their own little package, so I'm not introducing bacteria up under a blister. Which, I mean, that's like the least of your concerns. You're not going to really do that with a safety pin over 72 hours or even up to 5 days. But
yeah, a
so
true
some extra
medical
safety pins.
professional here giving
Yeah,
us advice.
it
Yep.
makes me cringe. It makes me cringe, but that's the nurse in me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So in terms of drop bags, I think at the race, what you can be prepared for, and obviously this information is in the runner guide, but from a high level, we've got two aid stations that you'll have access to drop bags in the first 70 miles, and then after that, it's the average of about 16 miles. The biggest stretch being the stretch between Mingus and Dead Horse, which is 25 and a half or 26 miles. But most of the course, you have access to drop bags every 16 miles, which is, I feel, really great. This course has a lot of great access to aid stations, so we're able to provide drop bag locations at a lot of locations through the course. So, Colby, will you talk us through the supplies that your medics will have on the course versus what people should have in their drop bags? I mean, I would assume that runners should be prepared themselves with all their tape, their scissors, all that stuff. But will your medics also have those items?
Yeah, absolutely. So we over the last what's it been now 6 7 years of us working Aravaipa runs, we've done a lot of research into what provides the best outcomes for foot care and blister care and things like that. So we have various different types of tapes. Leukotape we have found has provided the highest outcome for blisters, specifically with the ultra running. Now, like Lori said, some don't recommend it. So we do have other various tapes. We have KT tape that can be used for blisters and hotspot padding. Some of our aid stations will use moleskin. We do have moleskin at some of the aid stations. The problem is that most people are moving away from moleskin, and one of the most common things that we're finding is that moleskin is being improperly applied. So, um, uh, it's also a thicker type of material, and so we're trying to use as thin a material as possible to reduce that friction and not create any like step ups on the skin that could be rubbing on the inside of the shoe. Um, we also have squirrel's nut butter and run goo at all of our aid stations. So those are the two types of lube that we normally use. Um, the one thing that I would recommend is if you have like specific requirements or preferences for specific types of material, just bring those in with you, have them in your drop bag, and we're happy to apply them. We know how to use the those types of tapes and things. We just may not carry it. So one thing that I'm thinking of is uh, there's uh, there was one runner that specifically liked to use just clear packing tape on certain parts of his feet. I wouldn't recommend that, but that was a preference, and so he had to bring it in and he put it on. But if needed, then we would have put it on there for him as well.
Yeah, interesting.
Um,
Yeah, and
we
I would recommend for runners to provide to have all of their their own supplies that for foot care that they like to have and access with their drop bags and crew, just in case you guys run out or some supplies fall off at one of our transport trucks or whatever. So it's good to know that your medics will have those items on the course, but runners really should be taking care of foot care on their own. You guys are there as a fail safe.
Sure.
Sweet. Okay. Okay. Now, once an issue has developed on your foot in the race, let's talk about how you deal with it then. So, I think the first and foremost, if you're feeling a hot spot, if you're feeling a blister, if you're feeling a pain point, take your shoes and socks off. You got to figure out what's going on. Better to deal with it right at the bat, right out, as soon as you're starting to feel it, than wait until it's an issue where you're just hobbling along the course, and we've seen that happen many times. So, Colby, what's the first step when you get that the socks off, the shoes and socks off? What's the first step to do?
Well, so like you said, make sure you're looking at it, figuring out what's causing the issue. I've seen several runners who have said, "Hey, about 7 miles ago, but I just figured I'd continue and get it taken care of here." And after looking at their feet or taking off their shoes, you could see that the sock was wrinkled, right? And so there was a fold causing causing pressure points on that area, and that could have easily been taken care of 7 miles ago if they'd just looked and just stretched out that sock or pulled it straight. Um, but honestly, the first thing that we always do when we look at a foot is we clean it. That way we can see what's normal versus abnormal, what's dirt versus skin, and it kind of helps us to see if there's any hot spots, if there's any blisters forming or anything like that. So the number one thing that we need to do once we get your socks and shoes off is to clean it so that we've got a better field of view.
Yeah. Okay. Lori, what's anything to add there?
Yeah, that's what I would agree with as well, and that's where we really like. I know when they come into aid stations, when I'm working, we really try to emphasize. Okay, they'll say I have this issue with my foot. I'm like, okay, get your shoes and socks off and clean your feet, and I'll come look. So we want them to try and clean their feet, or we'll clean their feet if they need help, and get all of the dirt and everything off, so we can get to baseline and see what's going on there.
Yeah. Okay. And we've got a picture that you shared with us of, a
Yeah,
foot.
that's what we don't want to see. And that's
Yeah.
oftentimes what we do see. So again, obviously, looks like this person has already done some hodgepodge taping and adding to and maybe taking away, possibly out in the field or at other aid stations. But this has gone a long time. So basically what we're going to do here, and this is where one of the things I like to keep in my aid station drop bags is a wound wash, because obviously alcohol wipes, it's going to take some time to get all of that off. So if we can just use some wound wash, soak it down, and get some 4x4s. That's the other thing I would recommend you keep in your drop bag, for your little medical kit for your drop bag where you have more stuff. I would keep 4x4s and some wound wash, and there's just some sprays you can get, and you can get the dirt and everything off and get it clean. And then kind of looking at that, what I would do going from there is start to address how do we need to cover that back up and keep it intact for the rest of the race.
Yeah. Okay. So you say, keep it intact, but what's the to pop or not to pop? That's the question.
Good question. It's kind of a religion too. There's several religions in foot care. I ascribe to, in general, if it's a small blister that does not look like it's in an area that's going to spread, sometimes you'll get one just kind of on the side of the foot or the top of the foot, or a little blister. I recommend not popping. But for the most part, most blisters that are forming, once they separate, that bubble just the tissue continues to separate, and so it gets larger. And what happens is that pops on its own. It will pop on its own, 10 miles from an aid station. And now, instead of where you've had clean feet and the ability to use a clean needle and make a small hole, and control what happens to the tissue, now you're in the field where it's popped, which means it's going to have a bigger hole or possibly kind of like ragged edges. And then those edges are going to roll and create another like bump for more friction, and things get messy. And that's kind of what you're seeing with that foot. That foot probably had a blister that was not addressed, popped on its own, and then dirt, grime, grit, and friction have caused the tissue to just completely peel away. Now I have no healthy tissue to work with to protect the underlying dermis, and we have this big open mess. So I am a big fan of when we see a blister, if it looks like something that's going to spread, and we're at an aid station, we're in a clean place, I've got stuff to clean the wound, then I prefer to pop those blisters, and then you always want to try and keep your own skin. You don't want to tear away your own skin unless it's really dirty and grimy and risk for infection.
Okay.
Use that skin as a Band-Aid.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So whether it kind of depends is what I'm hearing on whether you should pop or not. If it's going to if it looks like it's going to spread, you're popping. But and then after that, I guess we're for the most part applying tape. Talk us through different types of tapes, pros and cons, those sort of things.
Sure. So there's two types of tape that you'll see out there. Most people probably do use Leukotape. I'm not a big fan of Leukotape for a couple of reasons, and I'm just going to share my biases now. But Leukotape doesn't stretch well. There's some types that are now more like KT tape. They now have a brand that's got a little more stretch to it. But Leukotape doesn't stretch, and it also doesn't breathe. It's also not meant to be applied directly to skin. If you look at the information on it, Leukotape is meant to be an athletic tape that goes over a base layer of a contact layer. So it's not really meant to be put straight on the skin anyway. And the problem I have with Leukotape is it doesn't stretch. So if you have a crease in your skin or you start to get macerated, that Leukotape will bend and you create a new crease with more friction. So that's one of the issues I have with it. And then the other is, in the desert, you don't have to worry about external moisture, but you also have to realize your feet have thousands of sweat glands. And so your feet are kicking out moisture. And so with the Leukotape, you have little or no breathing, and that moisture is held against your foot. And so sometimes what we'll see with people who use a lot of Leukotape on their feet is their feet become white and macerated, and then they'll start to crack, and that can be very painful and difficult to manage too. So I recommend the KT versions, and Leukotape does have a KT type version that's got more stretch, it's got more breathability. The downside to it is it doesn't stick quite as well. But the other plus side to it is that also when I know there's a blister underneath, which usually there is, I can get KT tape off without tearing all of the skin away. With Leukotape, if we're trying to get under there, we're going to be tearing that layer, that protective layer of skin away very often. But There are people that do great with it, and I tape people with Leukotape all the time, and they do fine. But that's just my biases. So with what you saw there, I would get that completely clean. He's got completely raw flesh. So where there is no overlying skin, the epidermis is gone. I generally will take either some antibiotic ointment or a little bit of lube, and cover that open area where the dermis is exposed. And then I'll put some Mastisol or take a Sure Prep wipe and put that sticky wipe around it. And then I'll take my tape and cover that area and just make sure there's no creases or anything like that. And that should hold for the rest of the race. And you can do that with Leukotape too. With Leukotape, because it's so sticky, you really don't want that on the dermis. So I'll put the lube down, and then I'll usually put a little nonstick, sorry, my light just went out, a nonstick layer, and then cover it with Leukotape. Okay. So those are kind of the two techniques for that particular blister. That's what I would do for that area.
Got it. Okay. So, I keep referencing this other podcast that I saw that you appeared on, talking about foot care issues. And two things one thing that I've always done is you don't want to have corners on your tape. So like you don't want square edges. You always want to round them off. But then another thing that you talked about, and this may be kind of more for bottom of the foot issues, which I'll throw a picture up here in just a second. Bottom of the foot issues, sure. They're kind of their own thing. But you were talking about going with the force and not have the long edge, the leading edge, so it doesn't roll. So let's go through that.
So say I've got my toes here, and I've got maybe a blister right here on the corner. What I'm going to do is kind of go over and tape and fold that in and fold the other side in. And then I'm going to have this corner here, obviously, that we don't want rubbing. So what you'll do is you'll just take your little scissors and trim right along the skin. And now I have a very smooth, I don't know if you can see that, but very smooth edge. So there's and there's another little, so you get these little creases. You can just trim those. They're real easy, and just trim it flat to the skin. So we've got that right there. Just trim that off. And now I have a nice, smooth, covered up blister right here. That's fine. Okay. And generally on the toes, I will pop those blisters because they're going to pop on their own. So if I've got a blister here, I will clean the toe, take my needle and put a little hole in it, kind of at the top of the blister, one at the bottom of the blister, get all of the fluid out of there. Then I cover it with my tape, and then I'll get a little crease over here because you're going to on a toe. There's no way not to. And then when I get that crease kind of pinched off, I'll take my scissors and just trim that crease right up against the skin. And then you have just this nice, smooth tape. And that oftentimes, especially if you use a little tacky substance, that'll hold for the rest of the race. And then we can talk about later on how to get, what do we do at the end of the race?
Yeah, right. Well, okay, can we talk about bottom of the foot blisters? So, oh man, these are
there's the gone toenail that Colby was talking about. Lots of. There's the callus. So these are people. So if you get calluses, if you tend to have these calluses on the balls of your feet, that's someone who had a big callus. That's the reason why you want to try and get those softened down, because again, the calluses tend to create their own friction. And you may not have a problem for 10 to 20 miles, but later on in the race you will. And as you can see, underneath that blister, or underneath that callus, is where that blister has formed and spread and now draining out from underneath. So what I would do with this foot is obviously clean it really well, and then make sure I've got all the fluid drained. Didn't look like there was really any raw dermis areas. So what I would do is apply my tacky substance, and then if I use Leukotape, I don't use tacky substance. It doesn't need it. But if I'm using KT tape, I'll use the Sure Prep wipe, and then I will tape across the ball of that foot, and just make sure there's no edges. And oftentimes that will hold to the end of the race.
Yeah, okay. And those can be, especially the really deep ones on the
Mm-hmm.
bottom of your foot, can be
Yeah.
so painful. And I personally would recommend not popping,
No,
ball of your foot super deep, blister if there's
no.
an issue going on in there. Sounds like you
Yeah,
agree.
unless you're seeing it just really spread out. But
Yeah,
yeah, I wouldn't either. We generally don't recommend popping those.
yeah, okay. Um, Colby, do you? Let's talk about when runners are having issues. They're, they've got blisters, they've got something they need to deal with right now. Should they come see the medics and talk us through like what your priorities are?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're having any issues at all at the race, please come see us. It's not just specific to foot care, any issues at all, come and see us. We're here to help you. Our goal is to make sure that you get across that finish line ultimately, right? And so as far as foot care, as I said before, it is a core treatment modality that we provide. Now, because it is foot care and a little lower in severity, so to speak, we may have to prioritize other people with higher severity issues, such as breathing issues or something like that, over the foot care. So, if our teams are with a patient that has a higher severity, you may have to wait, or it might just be best to work on your own or ask for recommendations. If we're not overly busy, we can just provide a recommendation. Clean it, tape it, uh, do what you just provide that guidance there. Um, but and then what we now going back to what Lori said about the different religions of medical, right? We are bound by one of those religions of medical that don't allow us to pop blisters in the field, and so while we can't pop the blister for you, we are more than happy to prep the area, get it clean, get everything off of it, make sure that it's ready for that skin to be opened, and then we can provide you with the lancet, which is just a little tool with a button. You push the button, it pops pushes a needle, and then we can help drain it, and then we can clean it and dress it afterward. The only thing that we're bound by is we can't actually do the physical action of popping that or opening the skin. So we can take care of it and get it prepped beforehand, and then afterward it becomes wound care, but we just can't open the skin ourselves.
Yeah, okay. You're not surgeons in the field, but you can fix issues. So, yeah,
Exactly.
I think that's important for our runners to know is that higher priority medical issues that obviously take priority over foot care. So that's why you should be prepared and ready to deal with foot care issues on your own. No other person with a higher medical issue in front of you and at that medic station. You guys are helping with foot care, but you can't pop blisters. The runner can do that. So that's
Yeah.
awesome stuff
And
to know.
don't assume that we're going to have high priority people, right? So always step in if you have an issue. Always step in, say hi to the medic, and just talk to them. Say, hey, this is what I need help with, and then at that point we can then triage and figure out, okay, I can handle this, or take a seat and I'll get to you here in a few moments.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. Let's talk about after the race. Lori, if you've had issues with your foot, you've put on the tape, or you haven't put on the tape. What should we be aware of to take care of after the race?
The most important thing you can do after the race is is wash your feet. Get in the shower, antibacterial soap and water, scrub those feet, leave the tape on, leave everything that you've got stuck to your foot there. Just gently, but give yourself a good 10 minutes of cleaning your feet and looking at your feet. And then after that, I recommend, patting them dry and then cutting away tape that's loose and hanging. You can start to see if maybe you can peel back a little bit of tape. Personally, there are some medical wipes that are adhesive removers that you can use. Please don't use Goo Gone. It's also destructive to your skin. It's not going to help your feet heal, but you can get it at Walgreens. You can get medical adhesive remover, and you can get it online too. But you can use that, and as you peel back the tape a little bit, you just take that adhesive remover and kind of rub a little bit, and you can gradually work that tape off. Alternatively, you can just cut away the edges, and day by day, as the tape starts to loosen, keep cutting away. But make sure you're looking at your feet and you're washing your feet at least once a day, watching for signs of infection. Now, your feet are going to be swollen, they're going to be painful. They might be a little bit red around the edges of blisters and open areas. That should be about it. You shouldn't have severe pain with the blister. Now, you have pain in your feet, but you shouldn't have severe pain that's getting worse or that's worse than it was in the race. That's a red flag. It doesn't always mean there's something wrong. But if you also have this really unexpected severe pain along with redness, pus, you're not feeling well, then you need to get to an urgent care and have that checked. You could be getting an infection. But generally speaking, just washing your feet, antibacterial soap and water, trim the edges, use some adhesive remover if you want to go ahead and try and get all your tape off. But do use the adhesive remover. Try not to rip your skin off, because then again, you're creating a whole open area of dermis for the bacteria off of whatever to get in and get an infection.
Yeah. Okay.
So those are the biggies.
Yeah, that's good. So don't just rip it off like a Band-Aid and take the skin
No,
off with it. So, but what about when you have the blisters that have formed, now that skin is starting to dry off. So you have a large area of blister, now dried skin. What do you trim that? Do you leave it on? What do you do?
Yeah, generally we recommend leaving intact skin on, but if you've got those little hanging edges, you can trim anything that's not in contact with the underlying dermis. You can trim away. And then again, use your lube. So use your lube to keep your feet soft. Wear socks. Do not go barefoot when you have any kind of open wound on your foot. And yeah, you can trim that dead skin away, but try not to get any skin that's attached or covering the underlying dermis, the pink meat of your foot.
Pink meat. I love it. Yes, that's great. Great. Well, that's, I think, a pretty good overview of all things foot care. There was a mention of a really good book that could be useful to you, is Fixing Your Feet by John Von Hoff. Check that out. It's a resource that lots of runners over the years have recommended. So check that out if you want to learn. Oh, there you go. Yeah, you've got it right there. I love it. Lori and Colby, thank you so much for joining us to talk about foot care. We will see you hopefully both out at Cocodona. And thanks a lot for joining us. And yeah, you guys have a great day.
You as well.
Thank
Thanks
you very
for having
much.
us.
Yeah. All right, Joe, let's talk about Darn Tough. Darn Tough has joined Cocodona as a partner this year. We're super happy about that. Tell us about Darn Tough. Tell us about the company and what you like about Darn Tough.
Yeah, hopefully everyone has heard of Darn Tough, but maybe you haven't. We are a family-owned sock company right out of Vermont. We are still producing all our socks manufacturing right here in Vermont. We have 2 knitting facilities here. It's like really cool. I can go downstairs and watch them knit a pair of socks and get a brand new pair of socks, which is just like something really cool and special to be part of still like this small family. We're merino wool. We like to say we, stand by our comfort, our durability, our fit, and we back that with a lifetime guarantee.
So okay, that's one thing I love about Darn Tough too. But before we get there, I putting on a pair of socks right out of the dryer when they're still warm is like, to me, so like comforting and nice. I can't even imagine hot off the press socks.
It's really
I imagine them as like very warm, but that's probably not how they are. But anyways, I'm jealous that you can walk downstairs and just get a pair of socks right from the knitter. That's pretty cool.
I wish I could have brought you down into the knitting facility to just see how they like something like Dr. Seuss, and they shoot them out into these like baskets, and you can just see them weaving, and above it's just like all these colors of different yarns. It's
Sweet.
really neat. Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, lifetime guarantee is something that Darn Tough does, and I don't know that anybody else does. Tell us about your lifetime guarantee.
Yeah, so we like to say, we're the most durable sock, long lasting. We also like our motto is we've yet to produce our best sock. So we really take feedback from everyone who wears our socks. So part of our lifetime guarantee is a warranty process. And within our warranty process, you can say if you where you're like a hole in your socks, or if there's a tear, like if you got like just a manufacturer defect, could be another issue. If they stretch out, there's all these like little things that we want to like hear that feedback, and we want to like know where we can improve. And so you can go through a warranty process and essentially get a new pair of socks. So, we get all these wonderful stories about people being like, I've had these socks for 10 years and like, I don't even want a credit because like, you can get credit or new pair, but people send in drawings and just like stories of where their socks have been, and just like photos of these crusty socks that have come off like trails. And it's a really neat thing that brings kind of people together, but we really stand by it. And we want to know if you burned through a pair of socks in 3 months. And our customer service team is really wonderful, and they meet with product and they provide all this feedback and where we need to improve in our socks.
Yeah, that's awesome. It kind of reminds me of the REI return policy. For me, I hate to return, an item that I've used. If there's a defect, that's different. But
Yeah.
I hate to return an item that I've used. But I do love that about the company, that they will do that. And same with Darn Tough. I love that lifetime guarantee. You get a hole in your sock, which happens if you're an ultra runner. Darn Tough wants to know how they can improve, and we'll replace it. We'll replace that sock. That's pretty cool. Okay, tell us about.
Yep, go.
Yeah. Tell us about merino wool and the benefits of merino wool.
Yeah, I think that what's really sets us apart, I think sometimes people hear wool and they think scratchy, itchy, but merino wool is just like, it's a finer, thin fiber. So with it being thinner and like it's going to be softer. And so we're going to have more comfort, softer sock. And we like to say our socks are like a performance fit. So they should be nice and snug. They shouldn't be slipping. The way we design our socks, we are like a true seamless toe sock. So there's no seams in when we knit them. So just less areas to cause blisters. There's just like some awesome properties with merino wool being just, they're very thermoregulating. So good for hot races, cold races. You're never going to just have that moisture building up in your sock. It's very breathable. We have tests within the company of how long you can wear your socks, and just like there's still no odor. They hold up, just long lasting. It's just a premium fiber sock over like synthetic that will break down, or cotton that's just not going to perform the same way as wool will.
Yeah. I there's a bunch of things I love about Darn Tough, the company, but also the socks. First, for me, the tight weave is essential, especially in the desert. Just keeping your feet cleaner, is huge. We talked about getting that dust in your socks can be, really can hurt your race if you have foot issues. The second thing, I love the merino wool because it feels so great, but also you were saying, wool does so well with moisture. If you have a synthetic material in your sock and you're running in a wet conditions, it really hurts your feet. Versus, wool performs terrifically when it's wet, terrifically when hot conditions like we have out in Cocodona. So I love Darn Tough, and I love the merino wool that you guys use. So that's awesome. Let's talk about how Darn Tough is involved in the race and how we're trying to provide benefit to the runners. So we're going to do a survey that's going to be coming out soon. If you want to participate, to give feedback and to Darn Tough about, you as a 200-mile runner. What socks do you wear? What's important to you? Darn Tough, they want to know that information. And so I think what, Joe, we're given 10 to the survey participants. We're given 10 pairs of socks, and we're going to send you a code so you can have a free pair of socks. Is that right?
Yep. And you can choose any sock you want off the website. Like you said, like we want to know that feedback. I'd pass along the results to our product team so they can see run is our fastest growing category. And we really want to, know what people are looking for in their socks.
Yeah, awesome. So that survey will be coming out soon. Look for that, and you'll get a chance to get a free pair of socks just to give some feedback to Darn Tough, and so they can continue to improve their socks, especially for running and trail running and ultra running. And then if you are joining us, we have, I think 44 runners joining us for the training run. Joe just sent socks for that, so we'll all the training runners will get socks. That's awesome. I'm sure they'll love that. And then every runner, all distances, are going to get a pair of Darn Tough socks in there when they come for packet pickup. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Joe, for that. That's really sweet.
Yeah, I think the best thing is just getting socks on people's feet so they can test them out themselves. And so it's huge. So thank you for letting us be part of it.
Oh man, that's a lot of pairs of socks. So thank you so much.
We got a lot of runners.
Yeah, that's right. Well, cool. Joe, thank you so much for joining us today and making the foot care episode possible. We appreciate the partnership and thanks so much.
Yeah, no, thank you. Take care.
Okay, you too. Awesome. Well, a couple other items to note about Cocodona. Hopefully that was a really good episode for you. Maybe you learned something about foot care. It's one of the most important things you'll deal with in a 200-miler. Some other things just to close out the episode. We do have our merchandise listed on the website. If you order by April 2nd, the merch will be shipped out to you before the race, so you can show up to race day with it. We'll also have merchandise for sale at various locations at the race. That information is on the website. If you are not running with us this year, or you know somebody who loves to run, loves to support runners, come out and volunteer with us as a staff member. Email me if you're interested in that, steve@aravaiparunning.com. We are looking for body care professionals, so massage therapists, chiropractors, any body work modality. We're looking for folks to provide help for the runners to get them to the finish line. So email me, steve@Aravaipa Running, for that. And then also we're just less than 50% filled on volunteer shifts. We've got 2 months to fill a bunch of volunteer shifts. So if you or somebody that you know is interested in volunteering, maybe you're running one of the longer distances and want to volunteer earlier in the race, that volunteer sign up is open. That's all I have for you this episode. Thanks for tuning in, and we can't wait to see you in May. Thanks a lot.